Florida condo and property owners are experiencing a massive fallout. And that is in not only the amount of vacancy that is on the rise as we are seeing the tourism economy and traffic slow down and be reduced, but we're also witnessing mass exodus as ownership of these beachfront coastal condos has lost its appeal. Now, me personally, myself, I am here in Destin, Florida, and this is going to be a little bit different than other parts of Florida, but we actually just yesterday had a friend visit us coming up from Boynton Beach, real estate professional, Chris Igo, and we were out on the boat, cruising around, looking at some of the property on the water. My wife, Michelle, Squirrel Tribe, was pointing out, her interest on where she would want to live or move or ultimately buy. And I got to tell you guys, condo life is rapidly escaping our grasp as potentially a worthwhile investment, an income opportunity, but becoming more and more of a dangerous proposition. And not only here in Destin, Florida, but in general. And if you want to buy a condo, especially if you're looking in Florida, then this may be the video you want to watch, because beginning in January of 2025, all Florida condos will be required by state law to have fully funded reserves. Fully funded reserves. Now we're gonna get into that and what that really means and the costs associated with fully funded reserves. And a large percentage of these condominium complexes do not have the reserves needed to cover major projects and increase insurance costs. Insurance is up, okay? Insurance companies have taken a hit, Florida being a huge market for that loss. The stock market being down, higher replacement costs, the devastation of damaging weather events, storms, high winds, hurricanes, tornadoes. Yeah, it's going to hurt. And this is a massive problem for many of the condo homeowners. Many high-rise condos in Florida are starting to feel the tsunami of expenses hitting them and hitting their wallets and their bank accounts and maybe even their credit cards or their 401k and retirement plans or other investments to cover these, as new structural mandates plus rising insurance costs at the same time are making these condo fees escalate rapidly, very quickly. Now, some individual condo homeowners who have citizens property insurance are now mandated to get additional flood coverage for their units, even if they're in a high-rise building. Got to think, you need flood insurance in a high-rise building and you're 15 stories up. What is the likelihood that you would experience a flood? But it's all by design. It's all part of their plan. And it's a massive surprise and expenses that are coming for condo owners, many of whom are not expecting it. They don't know what's happening, what's coming, and they're not going to be ready and prepared for it physically, emotionally, and monetarily and financially. Crazy expensive for condo owners in Florida. Now, Florida is highly sought after and one of the most in-demand locations for anyone who's looking to purchase a condo on the beach or golf course. The cost associated with buying a condo is more than just the purchase price, and we've learned and we're experiencing this firsthand as we are shopping here in Destin, Florida, Okaloosa County, Sandestin, Miramar, Niceville also. But we can get into that. Santa Rosa, we can get into that later. But condo association fees are now going up everywhere in the nation. Places with prime beachfront properties are still in high demand for some in form of vacations and income producing second homes and retirement for some, not all. Okay. Many of those investors are pulling out for a variety of reasons. They're not super interested in carrying this cost and this risk and this burden to break even. The discretionary and consumer spending ability has been reduced, so they're going to be looking for some cheaper options. Not to mention some of their own personal and business problems that have affected them financially are forcing them to liquidate ahead of a much more dangerous warning and urgent red alert. That is, if you haven't seen the video, there's a link down below about the economic collapse that is affecting bank accounts, possibly yours. You may want to watch that video. It's a quick video, but it's very, very important information. Not a video that I created, but a great video that I want you all to see. It's very important. So after you're done watching this, go check out that one. But in this video, we're going to provide some insight into what potential buyers should look for and what to stay away from, and what you need to know about the current market trends and outside influences that may affect your investment in the future if you choose to go down that route. We are going to go down that route. However, we are going to purchase a home. We're going to purchase a standalone, detached, single-family home. We are not going to buy a condo. Not going to happen. There's a 99.9% chance that it's not going to happen. There's an even better chance that we may be in an apartment for a extended period of time. Not really sure, but at the end of the day, it's going to be apartment. It's going to be house. But we got to talk about the house too, because we went to open house the other day and that didn't work out. But if you guys are thinking about making the move to a condo, or you're tired of dealing with doing your own yard work or home maintenance and want to give condo living a try, then there's some things you got to know first, okay? Really important. As well as new Florida state laws that have been enacted as a result of the building collapse in Miami, and all condos in Florida will be required to have fully funded reserves, and condo owners will see a huge increase in their monthly fees. Condo ownership is expensive. Let me clarify. Condo ownership in Destin, Florida is expensive. I haven't researched all of Florida and every condo, but I'll say here in Destin, for the condos that we looked at, not only are we in the $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 to quite possibly $1 to $1.5 million price range here for what interests us and or is available. On top of that, you're looking at quite possibly another $2,000 to $3,000 a month in homeowner association fees. And this is before we get to any added assessments. Now, talking to some people, there's two things you need to know when it comes to buying a condo. Number one, don't buy a condo. Number two, never buy into an HOA. That's all you need to know. Now, the HOA can be good and the HOA can be bad, but if I'm going to assign weight, we're going to go 51-49. We may even go 60-40, 81-19. Let's go with that one, 81-19. I've experienced no HOA. I've experienced HOA. I've experienced good. I've experienced bad. I'm sure you guys have as well. But when you think about buying a condo in Destin, Florida, investing in a condo in Destin, Florida, or other parts of Florida, you're thinking to yourself, or at least I'm thinking, not only am I getting into a trap with this condo, I'm also getting into a trap with an HOA. So now that's the strike one, strike two, okay? Now somebody said, I'm 54 years old, and my wife and I are very worried about our future. and that is gas and food prices rising daily. And it's not just gas and food. Everything's going up. Inflation is going up. Prices are going up. Even if they no longer want to consider it inflation, prices are continuously rising and increasing. And the prices are increasing as your dollars are decreasing. So it's a double whammy, which is why so many of you have already joined over on Patreon and have been submitting your questions, comments, and concerns and working towards solving these problems. Because look, folks, you got to make more money, plain and simple, because the prices are not coming down and you can only pull back so much. So if you're not actively making more money, then I don't really know how else to describe to you what your fate may look like. Links in the description down below for several side hustle, passive income, work from home, online money making opportunities for you guys to take advantage of. But again, if you want to contact me directly, you want to engage with us on our exclusive, unrestricted, non-suppressed conversations between Michelle and myself, what we do, how we make money, the steps that we're taking, where we're moving from here, the new opportunities that are available that we're executing on that is increasing our income, as well as if you just want to meet us, you want to get to know who we are, then by all means, link down below in the description. But it says that we had our savings dwindle with the cost of living going into the stratosphere, and we're finding it impossible to replace that savings. We can get by, but we can't seem to get ahead. My condolences to anyone retiring in this crisis. 30 years nonstop just for a crooked system to take all you work for. And you got to realize there's a lot of forces out there working against you. Do you really want to get involved in another being a very expensive condo and HOA and assessments and fees and insurance and repairs and maintenance, and the list goes on and on and on, at a time where you may be on a fixed income, you may be retired on a fixed income, you may be retired living off retirement savings that is a finite amount of money that is rapidly disappearing, or even still working and finding yourself in a situation where you're saying, I can't get ahead. That is devastating. However, there are ways to get ahead, but if you don't know and you haven't identified and you're not actively working towards it, then quite possibly you will feel that way and you may end up that way. And not getting ahead today means falling behind tomorrow. And falling behind tomorrow means really, really bad things. So we are constantly, continuously engaging in new business models and strategies and implementations and innovations and evolutions, networking and connecting. You guys saw who we had here recently, just the last few days. We are all working together to get ahead, far, far ahead. You got to get ahead and outpace all that is coming to destroy you and wipe you out, while making smart decisions and not putting yourself in a position, in a situation to be vulnerable for extreme financial hardship and financial distress, like getting in bed with a condo, expensive condo that's going to literally suck you dry. Actually, I mentioned this on a video before, as I heard an attorney on the radio, and he says that the only thing that you can buy that you never know how much you're actually going to pay for is a timeshare, because it continuously costs you money. But, typically timeshares are in condos, which is quite possibly part of that problem. But I think owning a condo could potentially be in a similar category of never-ending costs and fees, especially in states like Florida. And if your condo is in a coastal region, structural integrity, as well as high winds, hurricane possibilities, and the damaging effects of corrosion and the salt water in the air and all that other stuff. Now, another one told me, I own a condo with an HOA. The board members were retired doctors, retired lawyers, retired ex-college professors, etc. It was nothing for them to stroke a check for $250,000, $250,000 fixing the shoreline of the pond or replacing concrete. No big deal. That was fine. Then special assessing everyone $1,500 or whatever that cost may be. They said it's like dealing with miniature politicians. So, the board members will utilize the HOA, the condo owners' funds, however they see fit. Quite often, without any challenge whatsoever, because most folks don't even attend the scheduled meetings or as proxies. So then they just cut the check, and they're trying to maintain and keep up, or maybe over improve, but then the burden will fall back on everyone else in the community to pay it. But if you're not, an attorney or a lawyer or a doctor or professor or, a high wealth individual, that could really hurt you. We thought about buying a condo a few years ago. After carefully reading the contract, it was immediately obvious that ownership required submitting to unlimited and unexpected fees, as well as unlimited repair assessments. Now, I thought, who would be stupid enough to sign this? The boilerplate and evasive legal jargon responses to my questions was from the sales representative, where similar to car salesmen and their aggressive approach, requesting help on the final price, or a thieving politician trying to rationalize blatant deception in furtherance of theft. It is almost legalized theft. You got to think about, but then you even think about some of these corrupt HOAs that have been, siphoning and embezzling money out, so that when you do have a massive $500,000, $1 million need of repair and maintenance or whatever, and you see on the books that you have that in reserves, only to realize that you don't because someone stole it from you, that hurts. That keeps you up at night. Now, another one says, I'm a director on the board of an oceanfront condo in Miami Beach, and my advice is don't do it. Don't buy a condo in Florida. Condo owners in Florida are essentially slaves to the whims of government, engineers, fire protection companies, attorneys, insurance companies, and a never-ending stream of experts and professionals, which Florida government requires that the association hire. For example, the soup du jour are the companies and experts that we must hire to prepare a comprehensive reserve account study in order to meet the requirements of Florida government. Layers upon layers of red tape and bureaucracy, folks. And all that means is they're emptying and draining your accounts, costing you money. Good advice. I sold my condo on the beach in Naples back in spring of 2021 due to what I call a mismanagement of the HOA fees. Seems that a few owners on the board thought our $1.2 to $1.3 million reserve fund was for constant redecorating. They got caught when we had some damage from a hurricane, and as owners, we found out that the reserve was down to only $400,000. They were run out of the building, and the new board owners were flooded when they found out how much maintenance was deferred since 2013 to cover up the true cost of all redecorating that they were doing. The building looked very nice, but a few thought, hey, there's money in that account. How can we spend it on frivolous things? We got hit with a $10,000 assessment each year to catch up with the reserve and deferred maintenance. And when I left, it was $34,000 in HOA fees. And last year, I heard it was $45,000 a year in HOA fees, and we're going up from there. And those numbers were before September 30th, when Hurricane Ian put 10 to 12 feet of water through the first floor of the building. By the way, our insurance deductible was $1 million. Someone upstairs must really like me because something told me to get out of the condo as fast as I could back in December of 2020. So, long story short, you could essentially find a problem. You could find a negative almost anywhere you look in any situation. You really can. However, in our experience in shopping for a condo, there's too many red flags. There's too many red flags. There's too much high cost. There's too many hidden fees at a time where the market is still fluctuating in the actual true values of these properties, and interest rates on mortgages are going up, while the potential likelihood of catastrophic loss and damage and a huge expense just continuously becomes more likely. We even went and checked out a house. It was a detached single family house, but even it was in a flood zone, which you got to think, if you want to have views of the water, then you need to have views of high insurance policies that are only going to become more and more expensive with the added loss and the further degradation of the market, a reduction in returns on these insurance companies' investments, higher replacement costs, a recession, economic collapse and crisis, de-dollarization, and reduced value of the dollar. And then you add on top of that, the federal and state, because we have federal mandates with FEMA and insurance requirements and state requirements and legislation. It just keeps getting more expensive. So honestly, right now might be the best time to be in an apartment until this can kind of get settled and back to some form of normalcy. Quite possibly even seeing new apartments being built with greater luxury amenities and resort style living. And I think I would be okay with that, because I pretty much know what my costs are. Now, granted, every lease renewal, you'll probably have an incremental increase, but I'm also not tied to it. And what I'm seeing now is that these condos, especially here in Destin, that are listed for sale, they're not easy to get out of. The buyers are not lining up. The offers are not coming in. The contracts are not being written. So the last thing I would want to do right now in 2023, going into 2024, with questionable, future of the current political landscape and the administration in the White House, and who could potentially be the new administration or an extension of the existing administration for another 4 years. The Fed continuously pushing rates up, crazy weather events, climate changes. Like, there's so many warnings and red flags right now. It's just, I gotta pull back. I gotta hold off. I gotta listen to my gut, because that's typically what's always been right. I gotta listen to my friends and the professionals in these markets and in this arena that are saying, hey, look, just know what you're getting yourself into, but also read between the lines, the writings on the wall, read the tea leaves. I don't need a tarot card reading or, to check my horoscope to realize I can jump online and see what the activity is and how many folks are trying to get out. That's typically not a good sign. If everyone's leaving, if everyone's rushing away, why would you want to run into the blaze? I wouldn't. I don't. So we're going to keep looking. We're going to keep researching. We're going to keep investigating. We're going to keep gaining more knowledge on the situation. And perhaps maybe one day we do buy a condo, but it's going to be for the right price. It's going to be for the right reason. It's going to be because we have a plan moving forward and an expectation of what is likely to occur. But odds are we're going to be in an apartment. We may stay in an apartment. We may move to a different apartment, or we will buy a single family detached home. Quite possibly the last resort could be we remain renters and gain access to the condo living that we want as a tenant of a condo owner who just can't sell. That could be a possibility, and maybe even pick up a huge win on a discounted rental rate, lease rate, because ultimately the owner is going to subsidize our living expenses just to reduce their carrying costs of a condo that they don't occupy, can't rent short term, and no one wants to buy. However, with that being said, there's always the possible outcome of the risk the inherent risk of the situation of that condo owner facing their own liquidity crisis, quite possibly bankruptcy, huge financial distress, and then the condo that we are renting as tenants is now in foreclosure. So that's like the last option, you know. But even then, it would be an inconvenience, but we would build that into the plan, into the price, into the strategy. And if it were to occur, then we just got to move, you know, somewhere else. But we have that freedom and flexibility. As renters, we have the freedom and flexibility to be very, very quickly. We can move very quickly. As owners, not so much. Not so much. Now, I'm not trying to talk you out of ownership, but I do want you guys to pay attention to the red flags and the warning signs associated with condo ownership, purchase, especially in Florida. But we're going to go out. We're going to walk some of these units. We're going to check out some more open houses. That jet is crazy loud. We're going to check out some more open houses in these condos and bring you guys along if you want to see it. Talk to some of these agents, talk to some of the buyers, talk to some of the sellers, and really try to get a grasp on our local, hyper-local real estate market here. And maybe from there, we can branch out physically to surrounding cities, but also branch out virtually. So you guys, please feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, your experiences, pros, cons, good, bad, indifferent, what you're happy about, what you're not happy about, what you love, what are the trade-offs. And then if you want to meet me, if you want to meet Kevin, if you want to meet Michelle, Squirrel Tribe, links down in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have an amazing and fantastic day. You guys take care. Be safe. See you real soon. Bye.